Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson, and I'm joined by Nils Keller, writer and director of the live-action short film Almost Home. Nils, congratulations on your recent Student Academy Award for the film, and now it's been shortlisted for the actual Academy Awards. It's among 15 potential nominees. How are you taking that all in, and what has this experience been like for you?
Yeah, thanks, Denton. Thanks for having us. It's an amazing ride, already being nominated for the Student Academy Award and winning the Student Academy Award. It was like a great reward for the whole team because obviously it was a student project. We didn't have much money. We had high-flying dreams. We hope that the story will come across, that we get all the technical aspects across. In the end, we wanted to tell a heartfelt story that I hope touches as many people as possible and feels relevant. And now this is the ultimate dream, to be shortlisted for the Oscars as well, and be able to show this film to so many people, to be seen by the amazing Academy members. It's a huge honor.
And it's a sci-fi film, but it resonates because there's a virus going around, and it's especially deadly to people with compromised immune systems. That sounds a little familiar to what we've been experiencing in recent years. And talk to us about the premise of the story. It's about a teenage boy and his mother in a spaceship returning to Earth. And can you describe where the idea came from for the script and how you got the project to take off?
Yeah, the very first idea came in April 2020 when I read a newspaper article, I guess in the New York Times, about a cruise ship where the people couldn't leave because of the pandemic. They were sailing the seas. People wanted to leave, but they couldn't. And the twist in the article was that a faction started to build there that said, maybe even if we were able to leave, we should stay here because the world outside just got so crazy. And I felt, okay, there's a story here about where's the line for us between safety and freedom, and where do we draw it? And it's very individual. And then next step, I wanted to get this idea or this question as far away as possible from COVID, while still using this kind of world-spanning thing that kind of connected us without exploiting it, to really talk about something that we all went through in some way. So the reason to make it a science fiction film was not initially that I wanted to do a science fiction film, but rather to find the right format for talking about these questions that are arising from a situation like being locked somewhere and having to decide if you're going outside or staying in a prison.
It's impressive because there's so many visual effects. We see them floating around the spaceship. There's communication with the boy's father, Tom, who's down on Earth. So that's all interesting to watch that go on. What sort of resources are you able to pull, and talents do you get for these to pull all these effects together in a short film?
Lucky enough, I had one student colleague of mine who is a director actually, and he specialized in visual effects. And in the beginning, I just was asking him to be the visual effects supervisor. But over the time, we noticed, okay, it's not so easy to get all these great visual effects artists on board. And he said, okay, I'm going to lock myself into a room for 1.5 years and do everything on my own. And it's pretty much what he did. Most of the effects were just coming from one person sitting in one room, talking to us via Zoom because there was still the pandemic going on. And then there were so many people helping, building the spaceship, constructing it, supporting it with all the technical equipment. Yeah.
So when they're floating around, are they on ropes floating around as you're filming, and then you sort of make that all disappear in post-production?
Yeah, they're like those 10 shots maybe, where we really did this zero gravity thing with the things they have beneath their suits, where you have to use the wires to move them through the air. But this we already just decided to do for the full body shots and for the shots where you really couldn't do it any other way. And for the rest of it, it's, I guess, 90% or 80% of the zero gravity scenes, we faked it. So the actors were training a lot before the shoot to do like these movements, wobbling around, pushing from walls, doing these things. And we on our side, together with the DOP, Georg Nikolaus, we developed a technique where we had this remote controlled camera rig where the camera was also floating and using their movements to extend them and to turn upside down your feeling for space in the room. And it really, like, after some time, we kind of had a good feeling for that. And then it was actually rather, we had to make sure that not everyone was going crazy, because it was so much fun just for 2 minutes float through the spaceship and move around and do another thing. And it looked very realistic in the end. Like the boy, there's one scene where we just used tiny slices of, because we didn't need more, but he was cleaning up his cabin, his room inside that spaceship. And I think that is a sequence of 2 minutes where you could almost use everything of it. And he is just taking his room apart, putting everything in a big suitcase, and he does it such in a great way, because he trained so much for it, that you really believe it's happening.
And what's the casting process then for a short film like this? Because you found great actors in Suzanne Wolf, Jeremias Meyer. Where did you find these two actors who, bring so much into the film?
Yeah, thanks. I think they're both amazing actors, and they're kind of like opposite in their careers right now, because Susanne is very well known in Germany. She comes from theater, worked rather in the art house direction with people like Volker Schlöndorff. And it was really my dream to work with her. And I early on had her in mind because she did this film called Stücks that won a German film award. And this is about a woman who sails the Atlantic Ocean alone, and until a refugee boat crashes her boat, and then conflict arises that it's very ambivalent. She has to decide what to do. She comes from a background where she's very caring for people, and all of a sudden she has to decide about life or death situations and so on. So I really felt like, coming from that role, she had all these aspects bringing to the table, where she's kind of that caring, loving person, but also a person that navigates the ocean alone, is very hands-on, very tough. And the boy, he was referred to us by an actress we are friends with, and she said, I've seen this guy in a theater class. He's amazing. I think this is going to be a great actor. You got to meet him, and so on and so on. And I casted him and did a lot of practices with him. And it was amazing working with him instantly. And you really had the sense that he wants to dig deep into that role. And whilst we were in pre-production and shooting, his career really started to take off. So he played in 2 Prime Video series right now, and people love him somehow. And I think he's great. It was great working with him. And he's so like this fresh mind where he really wants to explore these things, understand everything. He sent me a video of 20 takes where he tried the zero gravity thing. And next he tried this acting with the disability he's displaying in the film, where we also had help from doctors. So yeah, that was the casting process. Like, some were casted, the others were just like, I wrote love letters to convince them.
And then somewhere along the line, you get this Student Academy Award. And I think people would be interested in this, because this isn't something we hear about a lot. They don't get as much publicity. Of course, they don't look quite like Oscar. And so I'm curious, what has that process been for you to get a Student Academy Award, and then explain how that then qualifies you for the actual Academy Awards versus going into film festivals and things like that?
Yeah. So the Student Academy Awards, that's like, on the first hand, it's a different path. If you have a thesis film, you can take part in the competition. We're like 1,000 films this year. And then you have pretty much the same stages as you have in the best live action short or best documentary short Oscars, where you have the first round. Then it's they just have a semi-final of 15 films. Then it goes down to 5, and then there's the final. And coming from that background where we started making this film with the production League of Media and Jonas, who they trusted in the project to do it, and it felt impossible to do a space film. And we always promised to people, if we do everything right, it might be seen internationally, not knowing that it's internationally like the Oscars, but just that they're international people. But Jonas, the producer, and League of Media, they really believed in that film and convinced everybody to stay on board, put in all the effort, even though it was a student production. And then the first time we heard that we are going to the semifinals of the Student Academy Awards, to the finals, that won a Student Academy Award, that it wasn't not the bronze or silver medal, but the gold medal. It really felt like this amazing thing where you realize that people see this and believe the world and feel the characters. And what I like, I'm most happy about is that so many people are talking about the characters and the drama they're going through first, and then also asking how did you do it, but how was the zero gravity thing done? But really that we stayed true to this idea, even though it was a lot of production, that the story is at the core, and it's not about just showing the visual effects. And if we don't manage to do the story, who cares? But really to use all the surrounding and the suspension of disbelief for space to have a story where mother and the son are locked in at a place where you really can't run away, and you really have to decide what to do next, and where your life is really threatened in a way. So it's just amazing to see that there's such a great feedback by the Academy, by such amazing people who really know how to do a film, and we as students coming in and being honored by these people, it's just amazing.
Well, Nils, congratulations on the film and being shortlisted for Best Live Action Short category at the upcoming Oscars. It was a pleasure to speak to you today about your film, Almost Home.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.